listeners, if you need a reason, you can say that we said you can't go.
We write you we write you the prescription.
Yeah. Say, I'm sorry, Crystal said I can't go. It's bad for me.
Who's Crystal?
Don't worry about it.
The lady from the podcast.
Welcome back to Discovering Divergency. I'm Crystal, your ADHD co-host.
And I'm Sydney, your autistic co-host.
And you might be noticing that somebody is missing today. Amanda is doing a really awesome thing and taking some time for herself. We had planned on recording together and talking a little bit about burnout, but she is feeling some effects of burnout. So she is not going to be joining us in person/virtual today, but she has left us with some input on our topic for the day. Before we get into that, Sydney, I wanted to see if you had any sticky thoughts from our last episode about masking and skill regression.
Yeah, something that I thought of, actually we all thought of after the recording, was masking in work emails and in professional settings, and writing, good morning, I hope this email finds you well. And that's really nice and all. But for me, I just take it so literally. Like, I genuinely care about how people are doing, but it comes off like kind of generic and not genuine. But then sometimes when I'm upset and I don't really care how they're doing, I still have to put it, and it kind of hurts. So that's just a general topic that we had kind of thought about after the recording.
Yeah, and I think for me, that was a way of unmasking, was taking those things out of emails when I didn't necessarily mean it, because I also feel frustrated being asked that, because I don't know how to answer it, because I know the nicety of it, but I feel uncomfortable being like, I'm fine, everything's great, especially if it's not. But I also know that if this is a work email, you don't really care that I feel like I just have to say I'm good. And yeah, so I have started to not include them when I don't really want that authentic answer. But yeah, just that was a sticky thought that we had. And the other one I wanted to have, and I wanted to bring up, or I didn't want to have, the other one that's I've had, was just a quick conversation around language. So we talked about feeling more autistic, and I think, Sydney, you were talking about how you are working on not using that term and using different terms. And it's something that hadn't really crossed my mind, because I do have a lot of the language already built in from my educational background, where I'll go the reverse. And when you told me about that feeling, I was like, oh, that's a fun way to say it. Instead of saying I'm dysregulated, I can feel more autistic. But I can also see the harm that can do in trying to create a world that really understands us. And for a person not in our shoes, that may look like you're able to turn it on and off, or that you're not always feeling autistic. So it's just something that's kind of stuck with me. And I think in this discovery process, I know in this discovery process, we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to change our mind, and we're going to learn from each other and learn from everyone that's going through these things. And I'm just giving myself permission, I think. And if you guys need permission from someone else, permission to learn and to make mistakes and to change how you're saying things. So that leads us to our topic for today. Sydney and I both experience migraine. Amanda is lucky not to. So we thought that we could take this opportunity to kind of talk about our experience with migraine, as well as our neurodivergency. And Amanda sent us some questions, I guess an outsider's perspective a little bit, and what she's curious about in terms of our experience. So Sydney, when did you first start experience migraine? Were you diagnosed with migraine?
I've had migraines for a really long time. I remember I only started doing something about it or calling attention to it when I was, I think, a sophomore in college. I've had headaches my whole life, and my sister had migraines and she was out. Like, she really could not get out of bed, couldn't open the curtain. Like, it was really bad. So comparatively, I was like, oh, I don't have migraines. I just have really bad headaches. And I didn't know that migraines are, there's a lot of different kinds and they're caused by different things. So when I was a sophomore in college, I for some reason decided to do something about it. And I went to a neurologist and they did an MRI and they didn't find anything. And she put me on actually an antidepressant that supposedly also helps with migraines. And it didn't help with anything because that wasn't the problem, was that I didn't like need a constant medication. I was prescribed sumatriptan, which is a migraine medication, probably 3 years ago, because I told my doctor I have migraines and she's like, oh, here's this, like, take it only when it's really serious. Like, it's a pretty strong medication, but you probably benefit from it. And when I was diagnosed with autism, my clinician said that she believes that my migraines are usually directly correlated with overstimulation, sensory discomfort, burnout, stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, because my autism diagnosis obviously explained a lot about who I am and my life, but it explained my migraines. And so when I started actually treating my migraines, not just with medication, because of course that does help, but with, okay, I'm starting to feel a headache. I'm going to like go into a dark, cool room and just kind of like listen to music and rest. Or I'm starting to feel a headache at my office. Let me put on some sunglasses and a hat because I can't leave. I might as well just accommodate myself. That does wonders. It still sometimes happens. Like, I had a migraine this morning and I will probably have a migraine this evening because that's just how it works for me. But it explained a lot. I still get migraines from other things, but that's how it's directly correlated with my autism.
Yeah, it sounds like it brought a lot of clarity to you in the way you treat your migraine.
Yeah. And I have a question. When you
Yes.
say, so I say migraines plural, is migraine like the correct terminology?
Yes, I've experienced migraine my whole life. I'll go into that a little bit, but to answer Sydney's question, migraine is the disease, is the condition. Migraine is the neurological condition that we suffer from, or live with, I guess, to use a better term. So colloquially, everyone knows migraines as, and maybe interchange them with headaches, but migraine is the disease or condition. An episode is called an attack. So that is something that the migraine community is trying to like get out. I will say migraine attack. I try to like group it together because if I just tell somebody that has no idea what I'm talking about say like I have an attack, they're not going to know what I'm still not going to know. One of Amanda's first questions was, what is the difference between a migraine and a headache? And I think shifting this term is what's trying to explain the difference, that a headache is like an acute pain that you may be experiencing. A headache is a part of the migraine attack, but it is not the whole attack. Are you familiar with the phases of a migraine attack?
No, I'm not. I honestly, like, I know so little about migraines. I'm sorry, I can't not say migraines. But I wasn't diagnosed with migraine. Like, I don't have that. So I just say I get migraines.
Well, if you get migraines and your doctor says you get migraines, then you have migraine. You can't get a migraine if you don't have the condition.
Wow. Okay. Well, I learned something
to drop
today.
That bomb on you, but
whoa.
Like your chart probably says migraine.
So, Crystal, you said that you've been having migraines your whole life. Was there like a moment you were officially diagnosed?
Yeah, so I like to say, I mean, I guess I don't like to say, but I've told it this way multiple times of that I've lived with migraine my entire life. Migraine is a genetic condition. So if you have family members that have migraine, you are more likely to have migraine. Growing up, I didn't have attacks. My mom had migraine. I spent many, many days like outside of her room where we had to be quiet because she had to be in a dark room. She would be vomiting. Growing up with my brother, that's 3 years younger than me, he had migraine from like 4 years old.
Wow.
So I spent my childhood often going to neurologists, going to chiropractors, being on weird diets to try to figure out if he had any like sensitive triggers. So he grew out of his migraine and I grew into it.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah, or males can, I mean, I guess anyone can grow out of it, but like he still will get attacks, just not as frequently. It's more common for men to grow out of it, and women often grow into them post puberty. So when I started experiencing like daily headaches, I and migraine attacks, like I didn't really like think twice. Like I wasn't scared. I wasn't like what's going on because I grew up around it. And I feel like you said, it was not as bad as I saw my mom or brother went through. So I was just like whatever. I think it was post grad school and I was in therapy for anxiety, depression, autistic burnout that I didn't know I was having. And I was telling her something of like, yeah, my headache, the daily headache that I have.
Yeah.
She was like, Crystal, that is not normal. She was like, I get a headache if I'm dehydrated, but then I drink water and I do not have a headache anymore. Like having a daily headache is not a normal thing. And
I kind of
I
had the
was like,
same similar experience.
yeah.
I said something to someone at some point, like, oh, they always ask how frequent are the headaches or the
Hmm.
migraines, whatever. And I had said, I have a headache every day and a migraine 3 times a week or something like that. And whoever was asking me the question was like, oh, that's not good. I was like, doesn't everyone have that? No.
40 million Americans do, though. So I sought out a diagnosis in 2020 and I went to a neurologist who is specifically a headache specialist. But probably a year and a half before that, I had seen my primary care doctor and started telling her about what I was experiencing, my family history, and asked, I was 25, I remember, asked if I should see a neurologist. And she was like, no, you're so young. Don't worry about it. Here, take this medicine. And I was like, okay, all right, maybe I'm being a little whatever. I think I tried, I don't remember the med. I tried it like maybe 2 or 3 times and it didn't do anything for me, so I stopped taking it. Thank God I did, because when I finally did go see a headache specialist, he was like, actually, that medication we do not use for migraine anymore. It has been shown to cause like to increase migraine attacks.
Good.
And I was like,
Okay.
cool, great. I tried to do the right thing. I knew the specialist I needed to see, and I was told that I'm too young and I shouldn't. So that is one of the reasons that I'm really passionate about like being an advocate and telling people to go see help and to try, if possible, to see a specialist, because primary care physicians are not, and physicians in general, they're not trained in migraine. Yeah, I could go on for a while. So I was diagnosed in, I think, 2020, and I've been rocking it ever since. The second question Amanda had was, do you guys have auras, and can you explain what an aura is? So Sydney, do you have aura?
I think I do. Auras are like, I'm asking you to clarify because I'm pretty sure you know what it is.
Yeah.
An aura is like when you have a migraine and there's like colors or blurriness or it's dizzy or it's something with your vision, like you can't see well. Right? That's what it is,
Yeah,
basically.
so auras are typically a visual disturbance of some sort, but at least that was my understanding too. I was looking at a little bit more. It can also be like other sensory disturbances that happen before your headache. So actually I'm going to share an image with you so that we can go through the stages of migraine, because aura is one of the stages that about 20% of people are affected by. And I think technically my diagnosis is without aura because I don't think I realized I had an aura beforehand. Like I didn't know exactly what an aura was, but I remember I've had them forever because I posted on MySpace. I'm pretty sure there's a post on MySpace from like high school about, oh, I saw these weird sparkly bugs. What are they? And that is the best way to describe my aura is I get these sparkly bugs in my eyes. Right, I'm gonna share.
Go for it. Class is in session.
So I took this image from the American Migraine Foundation because I love the image that it's showing. A migraine attack has 4 phases. The first phase of migraine is called prodrome, and this can happen for a few hours up to a couple days before you even get head pain. So I think learning these things, learning about prodrome is really important to be able to kind of catch things before you get to the pain. I feel like once you hit the headache phase, it has happened. There's not really a stopping, it's a treating. So we have prodrome, aura, which again, not everybody experiences, headache, which is probably what you think about when you think about a migraine attack. That's the pain, that's the vomiting. There's other symptoms that we can talk a little bit about. And then postdrome, which feels like a hangover. I don't know if you've experienced that, Sydney.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the worst hangover of your life because you didn't get to drink. Like, not that I don't even drink anymore, but like at least if you're drinking and you have fun and you caused it and then you're hungover the next day, like, okay, that was your fault. But like you had a terrible, 48 hours prior and then you still feel so tired and really shitty and you're irritable and whatnot.
I didn't know any of this. This is really interesting.
I briefly talked about this a little bit earlier and then forgot to say it. Like, I love that your autistic diagnosing doctor was able to link those things because a couple years ago, I had that epiphany and I was like, wait, there's a connection because I view migraine as a nervous system disorder. Like, something's up with my nervous system. And I tried to talk to my headache specialist about it because he is my doctor, but I feel like we've developed a little bit of a professional relationship because actually he had me speak with him to a bunch of other doctors that he was teaching. We went to a thing called Headache on the Hill, which American Migraine Foundation runs, and you go to Congress and are an advocate for migraine and headache disorders. So we've developed a little bit of a professional relationship. So I was like, all right, what do you think about the connection between autism and migraines? Because I feel like it's sensory overload. Like, I feel like that is what migraine is as well. And I don't know if I explained it well enough, or I just was mad that he may be right of like, it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg thing of like, did the migraine cause you to be more sensitive and so we're overwhelmed, or did the sensory overwhelm cause the migraine?
Ooh.
And he's right. Like, I think he's right. But I was like, no, I thought I found the cure. There has been a little bit more research now about the link between autism and migraine. I found a study that was just published at the end of the year last year, and it was just looking at the connection between headache and migraine, and they did find that based on like survey, it occurs more often in rates with individuals with autism. Not that they are causacious or anything, but I do think it is something that people who have autism should be screened for migraine. Maybe vice versa too, but definitely if you're autistic, you should be screened for migraine because there is so much more treatment out there now that if we can catch it and treat you for it, maybe it doesn't become chronic because migraine can be episodic or chronic as well.
What's the difference between those two?
So episodic meaning it occurs 4 or fewer times a month, I believe. And migraine Chronic is you have 15 or more headache days a month. This doesn't mean attacks, it means headache. So, like, symptoms from migraine, right?
Like any
Are they
kind
affect?
of head
Yeah, the
pain.
symptoms from migraine are affecting you. I think knowing the stages alone can be really helpful, right? Knowing your prodrome symptoms and being able to treat them before you get to that headache portion is going to be so helpful. I'm going to like ramble through the list real quick. Irritability, depression, yawning, increased need to urinate. I can't read. Food cravings, sensitivity to light and sound, problems concentrating, fatigue, muscle stiffness, difficulty in speaking and reading, nausea, difficulty in sleeping, right? Your body is telling you, like, is gonna go down. Like, I'm sending you warning signals. I think I said this last podcast, like, I will pee a lot. Like, I've had people think I was pregnant because I'm like, it takes me a little bit usually to connect that it's to migraine, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Like, no matter what I eat, I keep needing more food. Like, I want to, like, nothing will stop me from being hungry. And I keep peeing. The next day, like, it feels like a knife is stabbing me in the eye. And I'm like, oh, that's why I peed 47 times and wanted to eat like an animal. So when I can kind of see those symptoms and now I can connect them to, oh, this is probably this is my body sending me warning signals, like I need to slow down. So I know you said you're on a triptan or you have a triptan as a rescue medication.
Sumatriptan, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's what it's called.
triptans are a very common rescue medication. So I had tried rizatriptan, which like f***ed me up. I felt like, I don't know, it was rough. And then I used L-triptan and it worked pretty decently. And I stayed on that for a while until I went to advocacy training and I learned about a different class of medication called a GPENT, something like that. And I think this goes back to like maybe pedal plucking or just being so used to taking, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
Taking away from yourself and your energy to accommodate the people around you.
yeah, and also just like downplaying my own pain because it was helping. So when the doctor was like, it was helping, is it still helping? I'm like, yeah, it's still helping, but I'm still having, like, it doesn't do it 100%. I never even thought to try something different, just like because it was working. So taking the advocacy class, learning about this new medication, I talked to my doctor and I was like, hey, can I try one of these? And he was like, of course. Like, I just didn't suggest it because you said that it was working. And I was like, well, yeah, but here's the symptoms I'm still having. And he was like, yeah, we can try this. And it works so much better. Like, I don't
Oh,
have,
good.
yeah, I have Ubrevly now. And I like the triptans I had a lot of side effects on. Like I had to go to sleep after I took one. I don't know if you have any side effects with them.
I get tired sometimes, but not to the point that like I need to go to bed right now.
Mhm.
It more is a tired of calm.
Okay.
Like I also have a medication for as needed panic attacks or heavy anxiety / sleep. And it's kind of like that. Like it just like relaxes me. I mean, that's part of when I have a certain kind of migraine and I take the sumatriptan, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when it does, I imagine it's like making my brain like stop moving so fast and like just focus on getting better or one thing at a time. I don't know if that's right. I'm sure that's not actually what's happening. But
Whatever works.
that's similar to how I feel about my as needed meds too.
Yeah. So I assume, but correct me if I'm wrong, have you tried any preventative medications?
Like what?
Well, I guess you did in the antidepressant was
Oh
supposed
yeah,
to be preventative.
I literally couldn't tell you what it was, but it
So
was an antidepressant.
yeah, the other class of medication is a preventative, right? Preventing migraine attacks. There used to not be any migraine specific ones. And so they had found certain high blood pressure medications could help, certain antidepressants could help, certain anti-seizure medications could help. So I've tried a couple different preventative migraine medications. I'm not on any currently. I receive Botox every 3 months.
In your head? Or
Yeah.
is it your jaw?
So I get 40 needles. It is painful. It's crunchy. We sound crunchy. A
What does
needle
that
going into
mean?
a needle going into your head sounds crunchy. Anyone
I
who has had Botox knows what I'm talking about.
Oh,
It's gross. So
okay.
I get them all over it's like my forehead, the back of my head, my traps or like my neck and upper back and my jaw. So
Wait,
they
how often is this?
every 3 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it helps. And they found that out by accident. Like they just women who
Oh, but
were
they found out that Botox works by accident.
yeah, yeah. Like women who were getting Botox for cosmetic reasons were reporting less headaches and less migraine attacks. And then like they started doing research and they're like, oh yeah, it works.
Is it covered by
Um,
your insurance
it is. Yeah.
because you are diagnosed with migraine?
Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe I'll look into
Um,
this.
yeah, you should go to a headache specialist. This is my little PSA to people who have headaches often and maybe are thinking they have migraine to see a headache specialist. Another Amanda question. How does your migraine relate or not relate to your autism/sensory issues?
When I get migraines in public or I have a bad headache in public, my ability to mask significantly decreases. And I'm trying not to mask now because I know more about myself and I'm not ashamed of myself. But there are times when I feel like I need or want to act a certain way or look a certain way or present a certain way. And when I have a headache or a migraine, my ability to mask just goes like decreases like crazy. And that really frustrates me. But then it's not just that I'm acting a certain way. It's like then I'm in pain and I'm showing that I'm in pain and then that bothers me.
Yeah.
Also my ability this is I don't think know if this is new, but this has been so much more apparent to me in the last few months really. My migraines cause so much light sensitivity and are caused by so much light sensitivity. I actually switched where I sit at my office because I was facing a skylight. I go into the office twice a week and I would come home every day with a migraine. One, from overstimulation and talking to people, but two, from apparently staring at a skylight. My coworker was like, why don't we switch spots? Like, I'm not looking at the skylight. And I was like, oh, I never thought about that. And I still get headaches at the office, but not to this degree. But that's been interesting. Like I woke up this morning and I woke up, I don't sleep through the night. Like I wake up a lot. And when I go to sleep with a migraine, I usually wake up without it. And all night last night when I woke up, I still had a migraine in the middle of the night. And I woke up this morning and I was like, I put on my sleeping mask and I just laid there because the dark room was too bright. And
I feel that.
yeah, the way that I know that I used to tell Tyler before I discovered all this about myself, I would say, I know it's a migraine when pitch black is too bright and my pillow feels like a rock. That's how I know. And I have other ways of knowing, but that's what I used to say. And I still feel that. But that's a good telltale sign for me that it's a migraine and it's not great. So to get back to the relating to autism part, when I have a migraine, it makes me more sensitive to light and sound. I'm kind of like not able to focus on one thing as well. I get more clumsy when I have a migraine.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't let myself do important projects or handwrite things. I do not operate an oven or a stove if I can help it when I have a migraine. I'm really lucky that my partner is willing to help me like eat and cook dinner when I need to. I try not to drive when I have a migraine, but you know, I have to sometimes, and I just do my best. So far, so
Yeah.
good.
Oh, I backed into a tree. I hit
Ah,
a I hit a before I like realized what was going on, like but sometimes you just gotta get home, right? Like I
yeah.
hit a fire hydrant and it like got stuck in my car door. Oh my God. Yeah, driving on migraine, not safe.
Yeah. And then driving on my migraine medication is also
Yeah,
not
I
really
don't do that.
recommended. But
Nope.
what I've been doing is when I feel a migraine coming on when I'm not home and I know I have to drive after, I'll take
Mhm.
half a pill. Like I have them pre-split in my
Okay.
emergency kit, because of course I have an emergency kit in my purse. And then when I get home, I'll take the other half. So it
Okay.
helps enough to like kind of
Get you
stop
there.
it. And then when I get home, I take the rest.
Yeah. I think for me, how my migraine relates to my autism and ADHD, I feel like migraine delayed my neurodivergent realization because I
Hmm.
contributed a lot of everything to my migraine. And how I kind of understand it now, I feel like yeah, I guess I still don't know which is which, but they hurt and help each other. Of like when I'm more accommodating to my sensory needs and to my executive functioning needs, I'm not stressing my brain out as often. So I'm not getting to the point as often or as severely as I used to. I think a lot of times with migraine, people talk about triggers and trying to identify your triggers and what's going to cause your migraine attack. And I hate it so much.
Why?
I kind of think of it a lot in the same way I think of my like sensory system. If my cup is too full, I'm getting closer to the migraine attack. Like it's not every day that light is bothering me, but if I haven't slept well, I didn't eat well, I had a stressful day at work, I don't know, it smells weird, like then yeah, then the light starts to bother me and then I'm more sensitive to different things, but it's not an everyday thing. So I think it's a matter of like looking at your cup and where your cup is and how much you're intaking to where you reach that threshold. And your brain is like, okay, I'm going to create pain now.
Is the trigger concept more accurately described as like the thing that pushes you over the edge? Like, cause
Yeah.
I have like, for example, at my office, like, yes, I'm talking to people. Yes, I'm on Zoom constantly. Yes, I'm staring at a screen. Yes, I'm hearing a million things. And like, maybe I'm not in my own space. I can't fidget
Mhm.
or whatever the way that I usually would at home or sit the way I want. But then the thing that triggers me or pushes me over the edge is staring at the light.
I think that it could, but I think that whatever is going to push you over the edge could be different things every day,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
right? Like, and
Yeah.
all of those things are contributing to it.
So you're saying people have a trigger. People say that they have a trigger, and that's not right.
Right. It's not like
Gotcha.
sometimes it's, I mean, sometimes people do. Sometimes people have foods that trigger
Yeah.
it, sometimes, but I think that can be really misleading and put like the onus on you to figure out what's going on. No, you have like a neurological condition and all of these things affect it, right? But if so like
Yeah.
in your case, maybe if you did sit the way that you wanted, you did fidget the way you wanted, you wore headphones, maybe that light wouldn't trigger an attack, right? If you took away a couple of those other things, maybe the light wouldn't push you over the edge.
Right. Yeah. I didn't really I'm realizing when you say what's originally said, people talk about like their trigger, they mean like
Mm,
one thing that always
yeah,
causes it.
usually.
And like I can usually retroactively go back and be like, oh, that was the thing that triggered this particular migraine. But yeah, like certain foods, I have this really weird thing that salmon gives me migraines. And you think it
Oh,
would be the opposite because
yeah.
salmon has omega 3s and that usually helps with migraines and headaches. But oily salmon has always, my whole life, caused me migraines. I remember we were doing a taste testing for my bat mitzvah. I remember it so clearly. That was the first time I ever tried salmon because they were like, do you want it on the menu? And I was like, I don't know, let me try it. And I was brave and I tried it. And I was like, actually, this isn't so bad. Then I started eating salmon. My mom would be like, oh, I'll make you salmon. That's healthy. That's another thing that I can make you. Add it to your repertoire of 3 things. Let's do it. And so my mom started making me salmon. And every single time, I was 12, every time I had salmon, I would get a really bad headache or migraine or whatever. And no one believed me. Still to this day, no one believes me. I do eat salmon now. I took a really long break. I eat salmon now. I've learned that I have to insanely overcook it, which is like a sin to a lot of people to overcook salmon. But yeah, that's like a weird, that to me, that is a trigger. That, as I know for a fact, I can confidently say oily salmon is a trigger for me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cause all of my migraines.
They also change too, right? Like as you age and as life goes on, like those things change. Yeah, I'm like thinking about like the inflammatory response that you must be having to that, which is causing it, or like what's going on. I need to look up the chemical properties of salmon and what is
it literally makes no sense. It's supposed to be the opposite.
Makes sense. It probably does make sense, and I will figure it out. But
my body is a mystery.
Yeah. But I do think that those things can be frustrating for people to be like, well, figure out what causes it. And it's like my brain causes it, genetics cause it. So there's not going to be necessarily be one trigger. And I would almost argue if you have one trigger, it's not probably migraine. It's just like that is the response you have to that thing. Like,
right.
The response you have to that thing is a really bad headache.
What you're saying is like you can have an effect from something, but it doesn't mean that you fit into this like overall category of like this is a diagnosis of like your overall being. It just means you have this kind of reaction to this particular thing.
Yeah, that's how I would think it. That being said, what's the worst thing somebody says to you when you have a migraine or like suggests that you do?
Honestly, it's kind of I feel like I could probably sit here and think of a better one, but the thing that comes to mind is people tell me to go sit in a quiet, dark, cool room and do nothing. And that actually is really bad for me, I think, because of my autism. It's not like I can't sit still. I have a short attention span. It's like when I just like do nothing, my mind goes crazy.
I was going to say your brain's rapid fire.
And then the gears are going and it makes it worse. So that's actually not the right thing for me to do. It's actually better for me to even watch TV on low brightness in a dark, quiet room. That's okay. I know people would say, well, it's a screen. You should look at a screen. Like at a certain brightness or a certain kind of watching, it's really not that bad. And I'm not like
I'll listen
all up
to
in
TV
there.
Too. Like I'll still have because I'm the same. Like sometimes being alone with my thoughts when I have a migraine, all I can focus on is the pain. And then I'm going to make the pain worse because I'm thinking about the pain. So like I need to be listening to something or.
Right. It's the same thing with cramps. It's like I don't tell me to just like sit and do nothing. Like I need to be doing something.
Yeah, I need to not think about this thing. And if I'm doing nothing, I'm going to only think about that thing. I was kind of thinking about like, did you drink enough water? Ugh, the worst. But that being so, as a person with migraine, I would never in my life say that to people. I think everybody knows that they need to drink enough water. But I did have a coworker who's been having migraines and she's like, I think I haven't been drinking enough water. And I was like, did you need the reminder? Like maybe people do need the reminder. So if you're not hydrating yourself, which can be hard when you're neurodivergent as well, like that is like If you're getting migraines, hydrate yourself, try to eat on a regular basis, and check your vitamin D levels. That's a very specific one, but I feel like I went to a headache specialist and I think he did the same thing of like assuming I did all of the basics and your girl did not. And my vitamin D was so low, and there has been a strong link to vitamin D. Not that it like cured me, but it definitely made a difference. Like my attacks aren't as severe. So just PSA of like, you can hate me, but also make sure you're trying to do those three things.
The other thing people say to me that kind of bugs me is when people are like, "Oh, just take some Advil and you'll be fine." Just take some Tylenol. Give it a half hour. Like, it doesn't work for me usually.
Yeah, I could take a whole bottle of Advil, I mean, of like Excedrin, and I'm still, it feels like a knife is stabbing me from inside my brain behind my eye.
Yep.
That is what, like, the fact that we as migraine sufferers in the 4 stages, like, one of the symptoms is ice pick in the head. Enough people have described this pain as ice pick in the head. I'm sorry, Advil's not going to cut it.
That's crazy. I never even thought it, but like, yes,
Yeah.
that is indeed what it feels like.
I understand why they did lobotomies. Like, I have wanted someone to cut my head open. I know logically now that it's not going to help me. But in those moments, it feels like that's the only way the pressure is going to be released.
Yeah. Even when I wear my cold cap, sometimes I'm like, it's too tight.
Should we bring them out?
Let's introduce our cold caps. This is one of the tools. Mine has blackout eyeball things.
Mine does too, but I don't like to wear it over my eyes typically. This one has a spot for your hair to come out of.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess I have that too. I can't wear my glasses with it though. So like last night I had to take my contacts out and I couldn't wear this because I was wearing my glasses. So annoying. So I'd like take breaks. I'd like take off my glasses, put this on, lay there for 5 minutes, take this off, put it back in the freezer, put my glasses back on, do whatever I was doing. And then just like in shifts, I would go back and forth.
So Sydney and I are wearing 2 different types of headache hats, as we call them. They're ice packs, essentially, that are designed to be worn like a hat. There's plenty of different types, but they do have a little bit of pressure on your head. So sometimes that pressure feels good. Sometimes that pressure feels bad. The freezing helps the pain.
It can't be too cold though, because then it feels like brain freeze and that's worse.
So for me, I know sometimes I'm like, if I feel the ice, I'm like, oh, this isn't fully a headache or a migraine. I don't feel the ice when I have an attack.
Wow.
What's
the material? What's the material? Is it like gel?
They freeze hard though.
Oh, you like have ice packs.
Yeah, mine are. I have one like yours too. I don't know what that material is, but like these are actual ice packs. Packs.
This is just gel.
Yeah, I have one like that, and that one, like, I like the way that feels sometimes, but it doesn't stay cold enough long enough for me.
It doesn't. I have 2 of them.
Yeah, I think
I alternate.
4.
Oh my God.
Well, I have 4 because I had multiple households. Like I had some at Zach's house when we weren't living together and some at mine because they need to be at all places at all times. But so now I have like enough to cycle through.
I thought about bringing one to my office to wear in the afternoon, but I'm not sure if I can really do that.
I would say you should, but that's me. So another Manda question. We're already kind of talking about it. What do you do to accommodate yourself and reduce the frequency of migraines or the length? Ice caps. I also have a thing called Cephaly, which is what I was showing you earlier, Sydney. I'm going to take it out.
I don't know what this is. Tell me. Maybe you've told me, but I can't remember.
That's okay. So Cephaly is a transcranial device. It's sending electrical stimuli to your head. So you're supposed to wash your face before you use it. Typically, if I have a migraine, I'm laying in bed, like I'm not getting up to wash my face. Also, I have ADHD and like to remember to do that. So I keep like alcohol pads with my device so that I can like wipe clean my head. So it has a little sticker that you put on your forehead, and it looks like a third eye. It magnetizes to it, and it has a preventative and a acute mode. So like you're supposed to do it every day for 20 minutes to try to prevent migraines. It sends electrical signals to the trigeminal nerve, which is a cranial nerve that controls like your face. I think that's kind of why the ice also helps like on your forehead, because it's helping to slow down that nerve. Like they've found that that nerve stimulates pain signals in the brain. So this just kind of blocks some of that pain signals. It's a weird sensation to get used to. Personally, I didn't have any trouble with it, but I know like some of my friends like had to really gradually go up, but I don't feel things very well. Which leads to a lot of pain. But so I don't feel this until it's like on its highest mode. This is like probably almost $400. So they're not cheap, but I've had it for like 5 years and they have a 3-year warranty, and it broke and they did send me a brand new one. So just the warranty works.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. That's really cool. Maybe I'll save up, wait for Black Friday.
So, last question from Amanda. What do you wish that other people better understood about migraine? And how can the people in your life best support you through your migraine?
It's similar to how I want people to support me with my autism. Like I don't cancel plans a lot. I'd rather like push through than have to do it another time or whatever. And I do the same thing with migraines. Like I am doing this recording full well knowing that I'm probably gonna have one in an hour. Kind of already starting to feel it. So I'm pushing through, which is fine. I'm not complaining, but like I do that a lot. And in a perfect world, I wouldn't have to do that. I know a lot of it is like my own anxiety, but
Yeah.
but it comes from being told, just push through. It's just a headache. Just take some Advil, drink some water, like you'll be fine. I wish that people were more accommodating to me or an understanding of me. For example, when I learned that this is all a thing and it's all connected, and I started to feel very light sensitive, I realized that my partner and I naturally don't like bright lights. We naturally don't use the overhead lights very often. We always use lamps and little twinkle lights and stuff. We just naturally have always done that. And I have friends who I'm at their house a lot, and they have overhead, like recessed lights. And I hate it. Like, I hate it so much. Sometimes it's fine. Like, sometimes I don't care. But a lot of times I do care. And I have started asking them, can I dim the lights? Like, if we're not really doing anything that requires light. And they're like, yeah, of course. Like, it's no big deal. I just never thought to ask. So now I naturally go over there, and sometimes they're like, do you want us to dim the lights? Model citizens, right?
I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope one day you don't push through as often as you do.
Then I think if I don't push through, I'm never going to leave the house.
I used to think that way too. And I used to get really upset with my aunt specifically because she loves me so much. And I would be like, I have a migraine again. She was like, you can't go to work. And I was like, Ree, if I don't go to work every time I have a migraine, I will never go to work. Like, I have to. You don't always have to. And I think it's so hard. And we're always going to work. Like, we're going to always probably be working through it. And it's been something I've been working on for at least 4 years now. And like, I'm only just now getting more comfortable with it. But I think you and I can both, like, I think we're pretty great people. And I think if you think to yourself, like, would I be mad if the person was going to cancel because of this? And if the answer is no, then chances are they're not going to either.
Yeah, that's kind of a rule that I've been thinking about lately. Like, is my friend asked me if I want to do something. If I really don't want to go for whatever reason,
Mhm.
are they going to be mad at me? Well, if it was vice versa, of course I wouldn't be mad at them. They don't even
Right.
have to give me a reason, just yes or no.
Right.
You asked me a yes or no question. I said no, we move on. So I've
Mhm.
started doing that, and it's usually fine.
Listeners, if you need a reason, you can say that we said you can't go.
We write
You
you our,
just say,
we write you the prescription.
yeah, yeah. Say, I'm sorry. Crystal said I can't go. It's bad for me.
Who's Crystal?
Don't worry about it.
The lady from the podcast.
That's what my mom used to always say that when she was like when I was a kid, like if friends wanted to do stuff and I really didn't want to do, she would always be like, just say mom said you can't go. Like
Yeah.
just blame me. It's fine. So just blame me. It's fine. Yeah, I wish people understood better just like the severity of it. I've had coworkers that I remember my last job, I didn't get PTO. I was a contract worker and like I had to miss a week of work. I was the sickest I'd ever been. And I came back to work still with an attack because I had to. And I wore sunglasses and I did the bare minimum. And they were all joking about it. And one of my coworkers was like, yeah, I feel a migraine coming on 5 days a week. And I went to the bathroom and like cried. And I was like,
My
I can't
God.
remember the last 3 days. Like, I literally don't remember the last 3 days of my life. Most of it was spent on the floor of my bathroom vomiting. And like, to make it so light, I eventually, like, I think a year later, had an opportunity to explain to her what an attack is like for me. We did home care, so we were both happened to be at this house, and the patient wasn't home yet. And I was like, you know what? It's really hot in here, like in this hallway. I'm gonna wait outside because this could trigger an attack for me. And she was like, oh, I'll come wait for you. Like, what do you mean by that? And I explained like what a migraine was for me and how I went through it and like just could see the face, like her face change. Yeah, I just wish people understood the severity of it because if you have never experienced it, you think it's just a headache.
I'm sorry that you went through that. That's really awful.
Thanks. Yeah, it sucked. She sucked. Or that moment sucked. She probably still sucks, but I stopped myself because I was like, what if she listens to what do I care? She did suck. And that was
She
not
should
nice.
know. She
Yeah, you
should
should
know.
know. Okay? You suck. People have disabilities. They're not, if they're gonna tell you about them, they're really not lying. Like, if I'm telling you I'm in pain, that means I'm at a level 100.
Right. If I'm telling you, someone I'm not actually friends with and don't like, that I'm in pain, it's real. I mean, it's
Yeah.
real no matter what, but you should believe
Yeah.
me.
Today, our sunflower spotlight is going to be an artist, an author, Chloe Leese. I've read a couple of her books. She believes that everybody deserves a love story. I don't believe she's neurodivergent, but she writes books where the characters have different chronic illnesses, different neurodivergencies. This specific book, Better Hate Than Never, is about a man, I think I remember his name, Christopher, with migraine, and the woman, Kate, has ADHD. And so yeah, it's just a regular romance. Not like that's not the point of the book. The point of the book is not that they have ADHD. It's not that they have migraine. It's just it is part of who they are, and it's a regular ass romance book. And they like fall in love and whatnot. And I love that because it's just part of who we are, right? Like we're just living our lives. Yes, this podcast is like very much just about those things, but they're just who we are. And we are also going around and falling in love and going to the grocery store and doing things that everyone else also does. So I love that it's part of the book, but it's not the whole book. And yeah, she has a couple others out there where the characters are autistic or have connective tissue disorder. The last book I read, I was like, Zach, it's us. Is the twice shy something. Another one of her books, one of the characters had a connective tissue disorder, which I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome with connective tissue disorder, and the gentleman had autism, and it was them figuring out their love. And so that's our Sunflower Spotlight. And so we want to leave you with some words of wisdom. And this comes from the book The Alchemist. Have you read it, Sydney?
Yes, I
Okay,
have.
great.
When I was a
I
small
read it.
child.
Did you like it?
I didn't like any books. I don't really
Okay.
like reading.
Oh,
But I
okay.
remember this one wasn't as bad as the others.
So I didn't read it as a kid, but Zach did as well. And it was just, he didn't like it as a kid. And I read it recently, or a couple of years ago, and I love it. And I reread it at least once a year. So this quote comes from The Alchemist. It says, "And when you can't go back, you have to worry only about the best way of moving forward." But I think that really encompasses our journey with migraine. We keep going, and we have to live with it. And even if you are like grieving with the fact that maybe I could have gotten treatment earlier and maybe it wouldn't have been this bad, and because I know I've been there as well. So we can't change what was in the past, and we just have to keep going.
Yeah. That's how I feel about my autism too. Of course,
Yeah,
you
you
have
gotta go through that
regrets.
grieving.
You could have had this, you could have had that. Someone could have noticed it, but you're here.
Yeah, they didn't.
They didn't. So we just keep going.
Do it now.
We just keep going.
But not too often. Take breaks too.
So if you liked this episode, tell us about your experience with migraines. I learned that migraine is the condition. So tell us about your experience with migraine, how it relates to your autism or your ADHD or any other kind of neurodiversity. We want to know about it. We want to not feel alone. Not that we do, but we want to feel even less alone than we do right now. Let us know in the comments. And if this is a topic that you want us to talk about more or go into more science about, I know Crystal would love that. So let us know that too.
If you have any tips that can help our migraine, that would be awesome.
Yeah, tell us how to fix our brains. They hurt. Ouch, my brain hurt. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe and follow us.
Like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Some of my kids with autism will echolalia that. Just like randomly, they'll just go like and subscribe.
And with that, I'm going to go lay down in a dark room with something stimulating my brain and try to avoid a migraine later. So yeah. Okay, I love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.